minutes.
Indian Express. Sir, how these joint exercises changing relations, strengthening the relations between the two countries?
Joint exercise because first and foremost the militaries engage after, and these exercises how they help each other is that each country and each military and each practices from the other country that we can adopt, and similarly there are observations. It is quite easy and we are quite natural for us to collaborate, because when you see another seafarer, time when we were undertaking the sea phase, the weather gods were not very kind, so rules based order in this region. Thank you.
What is the specific?
As I mentioned in my address earlier, in November this year itself, we are going to participate in that. This will be followed by exercise Malabar, which is also of
Exercise JIMEX 20 Defense Force or JMSDF is represented by Rear Admiral. For the benefit of the media members, I would briefly introduce the flag officers before commencing the media briefing. Commander Escort Flotilla 4 based at Kure, Japan, which is one of its fleet. Admiral Hirata, a surface National Defense Academy, JMSDF Staff College. During his illustrious career in JMSDF, he had several operational tenures: Warfare Mumbai and Royal College of Defence Studies London. During officer, his sea commands include those of missile vessel. His prestigious staff and operational appointments include those as training.
Welcome Rear Admiral Hirata, CCF 4, that is Escort Flotilla 4 Commander, and the commanding officers of JS Izumo and Takanami, in addition to the commanding officers of the Indian naval ships. This year, we had JIMEX, which commenced on 11th of September. We had undertaken a rendezvous at sea at about 130 nautical miles west of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And the exercise is going to be conducted in 3 phases. The exercise started with a sea phase. Thereafter, we have now come today for the harbor phase, and it will culminate with the sea phase again. What is particularly of note is that normally every multinational exercise starts with the harbor phase, where we discuss and iron out all the issues and thereafter proceed to sea. But since over the years, we have developed such an interaction and interoperability with the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force that we could straight away proceed to sea and undertake the sea phase, with the harbor phase commencing later. The sea phase has been conducted in all 3 dimensions. The period at which we were at sea, we exercised in surface firing exercises, anti-air firing exercises, anti-submarine exercises, and we have operated in all dimensions. And it gives me immense pleasure to say that our interoperability has reached new heights. For this edition of JIMEX, we had 2 JMSDF ships, Izumo and Takanami, and 6 ships of the Indian Navy will be taking part. They include INS Ayadri, INS Kadmat, INS Kavarati, and in the next phase, we shall have INS Ranvijay. INS Sukanya has been part of this exercise, and we have had the fleet tanker INS Jyoti, which has also undertaken replenishment at sea exercises. After the harbor phase, which has commenced today, during which we shall have subject matter exchanges and professional interactions, we shall proceed to sea and carry out the next phase of the exercise at sea. JIMEX is now, this is the 6th edition of JIMEX, that is in 22. This exercise started with a modest beginning in 2012, and this year also happens to be the 10th anniversary of JIMEX. In addition to this, it gives us great pleasure that this year also happens to be the year when we are commemorating 70 years of establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Japan. I would also like to congratulate JMSDF for completing 70 years. This year happens to be the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the JMSDF. We have been exercising extensively with the JMSDF. This year itself, we had exercised in March during exercise Milan, during which JS, a ship had participated, that is Yudachi. And now we have the other 2 ships which are participating now. And this shall be followed in November during the IFR, when the ships of the Eastern Fleet shall take part in the exercise of Yokosuka. I take this opportunity to wish the very best to our friends from Japan, and I look forward to meaningful interactions. Thank you.
I'm Rear Admiral Hirata, Commander Escort Flotilla 4, Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. I'm very pleased that JS Izumo and Takanami, First Surface Unit of Indo-Pacific Deployment 2022, have an opportunity to visit Visakhapatnam at this time. Warm welcoming and a lot of support for our visit. It is a great honor for me to have this opportunity to speak on board the INS Hadori with Admiral Bara, Flag Officer commanding Eastern Fleet of Indian Navy. I'd like to express my heartfelt congratulations to all people of India. In addition, this year also marks the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relationship between Japan and India as an important milestone in both countries. It is a great honor for us to visit here in Visakhapatnam in such a memorable year. As a matter of fact, this is my 2nd time to visit in India. My first visit to India was in 2001, more than 20 years ago. At that time, I participated in the International Fleet Review in Mumbai as a member of JS Amagiri. In January of 2001, a huge earthquake hit the state of Gujarat, and JS Amagiri was loaded with relief supplies and transported them to Mumbai. Hence, Indian Navy remains special to me even after more than 20 years ago. We, the First Surface Unit of Indo-Pacific Deployment, departed from Japan on June 13, and we participated in multilateral exercises such as the RIMPAC by Hawaii and Guam, and also conducted exercise with other navies in the Pacific region during this deployment. And now, we have arrived at Visakhapatnam after a 3-month deployment. The goal of IPD-22 is to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific. As you know, various security challenges and destabilizing factors became more tangible and acute, and the international order based on universal values, which was underpin the peace and the prosperity of the international community, have been greatly tested. The Indo-Pacific region, which occupied 60% of global GDP and 65% of global population, will continue to be at the center of the world economy over the next several decades. On the other hand, there are many countries with massive military power in this region. Their security visions are in variety, and there is no framework for regional security cooperation. In addition, there are unilateral attempts to change the status quo by coercive actions without compliance to international rule and order. In addition, global climate change is caused various unexpected impacts to the whole world. Furthermore, with technology development and change of lifestyle, our security issues are expanded not only to conventional domain, but also to new domains, including the outer space and cyberspace. Under such situation, the international community is facing big challenges. First, there are great nations which unilaterally attempt to change the status quo and expand influence by coercive actions. It is that largest unstable factor for the region as well as the international community. Second, huge-scale disaster is caused by global climate change over the world. In addition, catastrophic earthquake and tsunami are estimated in Pacific region because there are many major volcanic zones as known ring of fires. Such a mega disaster will cause serious crisis of nations' survival, such as water, food, and shelters. Third, the risk for stable use of global commons such as maritime, space, and cyber domains, which are critical for economic activities among the international community, are increasing due to various uncertain factors. In response to these global challenges in the Pacific region, Japan and India are working together for peace and stability in cooperation with the international community. Japan and India have been working with the international community and a rule-based free and open maritime order. We are sharing the universal value and common rules. A free and open Indo-Pacific we should maintain and enhance is completely consistent with common interests of international community. As maritime nations, both Japan and India are committed to the security of sea lines of communication in Indo-Pacific. The peace and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region depends on the free and open maritime order. For Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force and Indian Navy, this Indo-Pacific Ocean is a primary area of activities.
Hey guys, do you like